My half-sister wanted to show up in a wedding dress to my engagement party, so I changed the party theme so she would fit right in. After 39 messages in my inbox, asking me to post here, I will. My half-sister, Heather, and I never really got along. We both are 24. My father left my mother for her mother and we were born the same month 20 days apart. It has always been weird. It doesn't help that Heather's mom hates me and my mom. By extension Heather and I didn't have the best relationship. She has always tried to one-up me. Even though we both have a similar economic background. I can give examples of this but for the sake of the world limit won't write them here. So now my fiancé and I got engaged last month and had our engagement party this Saturday. We had planned it originally as a casual, formal event. Nice dresses but not, I am going to the Met Gala ball, nice. More like, we are going to a good restaurant, nice. Anyway my cousin hits me up saying she has to show me something. It was the picture of the dress Heather was gonna wear. Edit, this is what the dress looked like approximately. It was a bit shorter and a bit less puffy. The rest is almost identical. This dress. Jesus Christ. It can only be described as opulent. It was long and white. Strapless with sewn-in crystals and golden accents. I'm pretty sure it's a wedding dress but I can't be 100%. This made me really mad. So I decided. Fuck that. I started texting people telling them that there had been a change of plans. And that instead of casual formal I decided to make a costume party. My mother's side is crazy for Halloween so they were immediately on board. I told my father via text, and asked for him to relay the message to Heather her mother. Knowing full well that he would forget or leave it to the last minute. Saturday comes along. Guests start showing up. Most of them in costumes. Some didn't have time to get one. We just provided them with fun hats and cheap wigs. Heather my dad and her mother come like 1 hour late. As soon as she notices that everyone was either wearing elaborate costumes or weird accessories and she didn't stand out she lost it. Especially when my fiancé came along and told her that her bride dress looked amazing for a cheap costume. She left crying and her mother and my father told me that I was being childish and I could have told Heather myself and not have tasked my father. For those interested, my fiancé was dressed as Bubbles and I was dressed as Mojo Jojo. My mom and aunts went as ABBA. Other memorable costumes were Luffy and Zorro, Ian Malcolm and John Hammond and Jesus. Edit. So why did I invite her? It's one of those weird family situations where not inviting them would have been more dramatic. You know when you try pleasing everyone. Plus I still wanted a relationship with my father, so not inviting Heather and her mom would have made things super difficult and made it so my father would have had to choose. When I kept thinking of it, I noticed that my father wouldn't have chosen me on this scenario. Which is why I ended up cutting them off. You let her win. No. The point of this is to ruin my half-sister's intention. She wasn't just dressed nicely, as some of you put it. She wore a wedding dress to my engagement party. I'd much rather subvert this whole mess rather than have her smugly sitting at the table with her wedding dress. Also some of you are really hung up on the cheap wigs part and ignore literally everything else regarding the party. A minority of our guests wore those cheap wigs. Also it literally doesn't matter. We had a blast. After she left I didn't even think of her again till a few days later. I don't regret the costume party. I wish I thought of it earlier tbh. This is a karma whoring repost. No it isn't. I posted this story before on Ida. I just had to wait 2 weeks to post on here. Also I can't believe I have go say this. But the lady on the picture is not Heather. It's also not the dress she wore. I looked for a picture that looked approximately like the dress. A short DM horror story. The following might sound crazy but I swear it's all 100% true. A few months ago a friend of mine asked me to run a D&D campaign because he knew I have a lot of experience in playing pen and paper. I agreed and told him that it would be cool if he'd find a couple of other dudes to play with us since I don't enjoy one-player campaigns. In the meantime I ordered the DM guide and the monster manual to get myself into DMing. I played for years but never really led a game. He then told me that he had found a couple of friends, mostly girls. I met up with every single one of them to create their characters and wrote their backstories with them because they all were first-time pen and paper players. That was no problem for me and I really enjoyed creating their sheets and telling them what character options they had to choose from. Then I asked for 2 weeks to write the beginning sessions, characters, quests, locations etc. I even built the character stories into some of the quests. We played in the flat of one of our female players. At the first session I was the first one to arrive there. The young woman greeted me at the doorstep with very little clothing. Since I didn't know her I didn't think into it and just concentrated on DMing the session. First mistake. For the second session the girl had made a cake for us. Very cool. But the cake was in the shape of an open book and on the pages was my name written all over it. I was very unsettled by that. Confused and a little angry. But I didn't said anything about its second mistake. The sessions itself were okayish. The players tried very little to get into the game but enjoyed some of the conversations with NPCs. The third session, and the last, was crazy. The girl was dressed in close to nothing as I arrived, the last person to arrive was me. After half an hour my friend asked me if I wanted to sleep with the flat-owning girl. She must have seen me in the city and must have asked my friend to get us to meet. Everyone at the table looked at me smirking and then all left except for the girl. I left instantly and had no contact with any of the players since. All my work for the adventure was useless. It all was a big plan to hook me up with that woman. That was terrible. And once again, it's 100% true.